It is so much my humble pleasure this morning as I sit in my green chair with my old chocolate Labrador down there at my feet, and I think about my mom and just how much I miss her. And I think about my wife, just, and I admire her and really stand in awe of the way she mothers her 4 kids and now grandmothers her some 19 grandkids or so. We seem like we never stop getting grandkids in our family. But I think about a mom's heart, and I think about encouraging you this morning. And I want to turn to the Psalms, and I want to think about just for a second with you about Psalms 24. But as I'll lead into it, I'll remind us through John 10, verse 4, that God says when He puts forth all of His own, He goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow Him because they know His voice. So He's our shepherd, and we're His sheep. And in that light, Psalms 24, the storyline goes something like this. When David asks in the Psalms, who may ascend into the hill of the Lord, and who may stand in His holy place? And there in the 3rd verse of Psalms 24, I feel like there's a good chance that he was reflecting upon the passage of the Torah, which he had surely memorized as a Hebrew youth, where he was talking about Moses climbing the mountain of God. And Moses had encountered God in the burning bush, because it was here that Moses actually talked to God. It was here that God spoke to Moses. It was here that on the holy mountain where God's voice spoke to Moses and said, take off your shoes, for this is holy ground. And there in reverence and respect and fear and awe, you can feel the emotions consuming Moses as he heard God's clear and certain voice. So 3,500 years later and halfway around the world, we can hardly get our minds around the magnitude of this moment when God spoke to Moses and proclaimed, I am who I am. So God asks you and I today in our devotional time through this Psalm of David, who can approach God and converse and talk with God today? Who can hear God clearly? Who can communicate with God and hear His voice without static and interruption? No sooner did David ask this gigantic question than he had answered it himself. He who has clean hands and a pure heart, he who has not lifted up his soul to vanity or falsehood and has not sworn deceitfully. In Psalms 24:4, he says that. This is holy ground. Come to God in reverence and awe. Keep your hands clean, he exhorts us. Keep your heart clean, he says. Keep your vocabulary clean. The shepherd who gave you his sacrificial blood to make you clean and gave you his Holy Spirit, moms, to empower you to follow him and live that way. The closer a lamb is to her shepherd, the easier it is to follow him. And so just a question from Matthew 5:8, where Matthew exhorts us in the Sermon on the Mount. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. You might discuss within yourself with somebody else, what is the reward for a life devoted to purity? And then another question from Psalms 24:9 and 10, where the psalmist says, lift up your heads, O gates, and lift them up, O ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. So what is God communicating to you in this passage? Well, thank you for your devotional time this morning, and I hope your heart is encouraged, as is mine, every time I open the Psalms together.